I'm here with AvreeWalker, and we've been talking about dance and about teaching and about trends of dance. And how do you navigate in a world of dance and many teachers and choreographers and companies and people hiring?
Mhm.
How and sometimes you get in the middle of something that's going in while something else is going out.
A lot of dancers say, or they work at remaining relevant. How do you remain relevant in this vast world? As of course, the dance world is so large, but it's so small at the same time. And people are really able to check in. Okay, what are they doing over there? Oh, they tried this, or maybe I should try that. Or what music are they listening to? And all those things I think play into how a dancer or artist, dance artist, is able to stay what we call relevant. You know, um, I think some of the tools I've learned, of course, is number one is image, or your brand. Um, what type of work are you putting out there? You know, um, what type of audiences have seen your work? What platforms are you using to keep people engaged in your work? I think all of those things are extremely important in keeping an artist above water. Um, Social media like Instagram and Facebook have just become, banners for artists. And I mean, it's just like everybody's putting their stuff out there. You know what I mean? Every day, certain people are posting a new picture or a new clip of work they've created, or especially in this time of shutdown. I've seen an increase in artists really pushing out work and content that will keep people interested in what they're doing, because at the end of the day, as you know, Miss Allen, we're all doing the same thing. Your plie is my plie, your tendu is my tendu. So it seems like they're always looking for ways to, and myself included, how can my tendu stand out just a little bit different, so when I send in my application, that artistic director will select my work or will ask me to, be a part of, their project or their program. I see a lot of that, and I've learned a lot about that branding. I've never really been a person to take pictures, and celebrate myself in that way. But I've learned over the past few years, you have to do that in order for people to kind of know your body of work. Beyond, it's not just about the dancing on stage. There was a time period, I know Bernard, one of my mentors, Bernard Gaddis, would say, the only way people knew who you were is they had to come to the theater to see you. They had to know your work, based on what you were producing live. Now, I mean, we see social media, we see, I mean, it's so wide, how people are able to um, keep their selves at the forefront,
So
you know,
yeah, keeping yourself ahead of the game almost.
ahead of the game.
So the other aspect or other side of the coin that I wanted to ask you is,
Mhm.
because it is such a small community, um, how do you navigate the emotional waters?
Working with a group of dancers, or this is me as an individual.
It's the personality sides of all the characters that
Oh.
we work with. Yeah, how do we navigate
Mhm.
the personalities that we're working with from day to day, either as choreographers or as company managers or casting directors? Or how do you what types of habits or protocols have you put into place?
I see. Okay. Um, well, I predominantly work with teenagers. That has been my pool. And so with teenagers, that can be so complex because the wind blows, and their minds and their focus, it goes with the wind sometimes. But one thing I've noticed, especially with teenagers, you have to allow them to have a voice. They have to feel like they have a voice, even if it's just giving them an opportunity to dialogue about it. At the Art Center, we pride ourselves on that, and you have to be able to bring things to the forefront and address them. We can't get so used to sweeping issues under the table, or not allowing a conflict to be addressed, because those things unattended, you know can become what we say catastrophic, in the end, whether that's a person quitting, or this blow up happens, or whatever. There are so many ways that can go. But I think one of the major tools is allowing people to have a voice, because then if I'm able to express and have that open communication, then I feel like I can trust, because you've given me the opportunity of listening to me and understanding where I'm coming from, even if you don't agree with it 100%. Not to say that you listen to whatever the kid, or artist has to say. You go, okay, well, that's where we're gonna go. That's not always the case, but allowing them to at least express it, and knowing that that it's an open community, open forum. I've recognized that over the time, that's really created a better balance in the studio. Because if people feel like they're just, a mannequin for you to, throw your stuff on, and they're just this body, then generally there's um, a gap.
Mm,
You know,
cool.
at the school, the kids write a lot. They write a lot. We have their comp notebooks where they're able to express, and I've learned some deep personal things about them. And at the Art Center, we encourage them to talk about it, speak about it. And it doesn't always have to be in a formal setting. It can be, hey, Avery, you have 5 minutes. I have a concern. But we certainly encourage them to express.
Wonderful. And then what about conflict between instructors or people in the same studio or environment or company environment? What do you suggest on keeping the waters nice and calm
Mhm.
in a company or?
Mr. Connor, Robert Connor, who is a director that I have the privilege of working with annually, he was my instructor when I was in high school. He was running the theater department at Las Vegas Academy, and now he moved back to Atlanta, Georgia, where he runs his company. But for about 3 years, we would bring him to Las Vegas to work with our students over the summer. And one thing that he would always uh, ask the instruction team, and these are all professional working artists, is to be honest and bringing their work to the table, or whatever it is, whatever their intentions were for the summer, instructing, choreographing, whatever, to be honest about it. Because then when we're honest, and I know where you're coming from, then we can work according. But if a lot of times as artists, we can be so secretive. I don't want you to know what I'm working on, because I don't, we feel very protective of our work. But that's one thing he would always, or he always encourages, to be honest. We need to talk to be able to collaborate, especially when you're in that type of setting where you have multiple artists working on one project or one piece. You have to be honest, because we recognize that when people weren't 100% upfront about what their intentions or plans were, then it can throw a wrench into the system,
Mm,
because we're all going left and you're going right, because you didn't communicate honestly. And so I think that at the forefront, being honest, as collaborators, you know.
yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Yeah,
your comments.
my pleasure.